A local car wash is a familiar sight during daily commutes, a highly automated facility with a seemingly endless line of cars, generating revenue through the provision of car washing services. It looks like the perfect business. Customers drive in and pay, while a machine does all the work. On the surface, this business model appears highly profitable. The problem is that a modern car wash is not really in the business of washing cars. It is in the business of selling subscriptions. The perception of car washes as simple, cash-generating businesses has fueled a rapid expansion of investment, attracting billions from private equity and sparking a building boom of shiny new tunnels across the country. Some analysts project that the global car wash market will exceed $50 billion by the early 2030s. But behind these numbers lies a much more fragile reality. This reality is characterized by substantial upfront investment, intensive operational demands, and fierce competition. We're going to break down the huge initial costs and the relentless operating expenses to see what it really takes to be profitable. We will peel back the layers of this surprisingly complex business and identify the key strategy that distinguishes financially unsuccessful operations from highly profitable ones. This is the real economics of owning a car wash. The dream of the car wash is built on a powerful idea: automation. Unlike a restaurant that needs chefs or a retail store that needs salespeople, the modern express tunnel looks like a marvel of efficiency. Cars enter the facility dirty and emerge clean, with minimal human intervention. To an outsider, the math seems simple. If a wash costs $15 and the tunnel can process 100 cars per hour, the revenue potential seems absurd. That vision is not entirely incorrect, but it is dangerously incomplete. The car wash industry is not a single business model. Rather, it comprises a spectrum of models, each with a different economic structure. Understanding them is the first step. The industry can be divided into three primary types. First, there is the self-service car wash. These are the coin-operated bays where you do the work yourself. For the owner, this is the lowest cost entry point. Labor requirements are minimal, often consisting primarily of an owner or operator collecting payments and performing basic maintenance. The startup costs are the lowest, relatively speaking. While some estimates put basic equipment costs for a bay between $15,000 and $25,000, that figure is misleadingly low once you factor in land, construction, and plumbing. Although profit margins can be high, the limited capacity of individual bays places a relatively low ceiling on revenue. A single bay might only generate $25,000 to $50,000 a year. This model can provide a relatively stable and passive source of income. However, it operates in a market that is increasingly oriented towards convenience. The second model is the in-bay automatic, also known as a rollover system. This is the wash you see at a gas station. The customer parks the vehicle while a gantry-mounted system moves back and forth over the stationary car. This model represents an increase in both automation and capital cost. A new build can cost anywhere from a few $100,000 to over $1 million. While some reports suggest an average annual profit around $85,000, this number is highly dependent on location and volume. The principal limitation of the in-bay automatic model is its throughput capacity. Because the machine has to complete a full cycle before the next car can enter, it can only wash a limited number of cars per hour. This puts a hard ceiling on its revenue potential. This leads to the dominant model in the modern car wash industry, the express exterior tunnel. This is the model that has attracted billions in investment. You drive onto a conveyor belt that pulls your car through a long tunnel, where a series of automated arches and brushes wash and dry the vehicle in a continuous process. The key advantage here is volume. While an in-bay automatic might wash 20 cars per hour, a high-performance express tunnel has the capacity to process between 120 and more than 200 cars per hour. But that capacity comes at an enormous cost. This is where the dream of a simple, money-printing machine collides with a very expensive reality. Entering the express tunnel market does not involve starting a small business. You are launching a major commercial real estate project. The all-in cost for a new build can range from $4 million to more than $8 million, and in some markets, much higher. That price tag comes from four major components: land, construction, equipment, and soft costs. First, and often the most expensive component, is the land. A car wash cannot generally be located in a low-cost, low-visibility area. It needs high visibility and high traffic counts, the same prime corner lots that fast food chains, banks, and every other major retailer wants. Acquiring a 1-acre parcel in a competitive suburban market can easily cost $1.5 million, and in many areas, more than $2 million. This represents a substantial cash outlay before any construction work has begun. Next is construction. This is not just a simple building. It requires extensive concrete work, specialized plumbing for water reclamation systems, and massive electrical infrastructure to power the motors and blowers. Then there is the tunnel structure itself, an equipment room, and maybe a small office. Site work, paving, and the building can easily run another $2.5 million. Now we get to the heart of the operation, the equipment. The equipment includes the conveyor belt, a series of chemical application arches, soft cloth brushes, a high-pressure rinse system, and a large bank of dryers. On top of that, you need the central management system, the point of sale (POS) system, which handles payments and manages memberships. A complete equipment package for a quality tunnel can cost $1.2 million. Finally, there are the soft costs. These are the necessary but often overlooked expenses: architects, engineers, permitting fees, and legal work to navigate the local bureaucracy. This can add another $300,000 to the project. The costs can therefore be summarized as follows. For our hypothetical project, $1.5 million for land, $2.5 million for construction, $1.2 million for equipment, and $300,000 in soft costs. The total estimated cost to begin operations is $5.5 million. This represents a substantial financial burden for a new owner, particularly when the project is financed through debt, which demands to be paid every single month, regardless of short-term weather conditions. If the primary business of a modern car wash is assumed to be the sale of one-off washes, this overlooks the fundamental shift towards subscription-based revenue. The central feature of the business model is not the sale of an individual car wash, it is the sale of subscription-based services. Unlimited wash clubs, UWCs, are a central component of the modern car wash business model. For a flat monthly fee, typically $20 to $50, a customer can wash their car as many times as they want. This model is similar to those used by other successful subscription-based businesses, like gyms or streaming services. The model's principal advantage lies in its ability to generate predictable, recurring revenue. Just look at the industry leader, Mr. Car Wash. In its financial reports, the company has stated its Unlimited Wash Club program accounts for more than 75% of its total wash sales. This is not merely an add-on, it is a central component of the business model. The individual customer paying for a single wash is now the secondary income stream. This model is so powerful because it solves the two biggest problems that have always plagued the industry: weather and competition. Traditionally, a week of rain could substantially reduce monthly revenue. Under a subscription model, however, revenue is generated regardless of short-term weather conditions. The monthly fees are automatically charged, creating a stable cash flow that allows the owner to make those massive loan payments we just talked about. The membership model also builds a powerful form of customer capture. When a customer joins a wash club, their decision-making process is fundamentally altered. They are no longer as likely to consider a competitor's offer. They become more closely associated with the operator's service. This creates loyalty and dramatically increases the lifetime value of a customer. Some operator-reported data suggest that the average UWC member spends significantly more per year than a retail customer who pays per wash. The unit economics are also incredibly favorable. The primary costs of the business, the land, the building, the debt, a baseline of labor, are largely fixed. The marginal cost of washing one more car, especially for a member, is incredibly low. The marginal resource requirements consist of a small amount of water, much of which is reclaimed, a little electricity, and a few cents worth of chemicals. Some estimates put this variable cost per car at just $75 to $1.50. Consider the economics of the $5.5 million car wash. If the basic unlimited plan costs $30 per month, and the facility builds a membership base of 3,000 customers, the model generates $90,000 in recurring monthly revenue. That's over $1 million a year in predictable income before generating any revenue from non-member customers. This recurring revenue therefore provides a fundamental financial foundation for the operation. The true health of a modern express wash is judged not by the line of cars, but by the size of its membership base. That beautiful stream of revenue from thousands of members does not go directly into the owner's pocket. A car wash is a complex machine with a constant appetite for cash. Operating expenses are numerous, and they can quickly turn a high-revenue business into a low-profit one if they aren't managed with discipline. The single largest operating expense for an express tunnel is often labor. Even with automation, you need customer service attendants to guide drivers and, most importantly, sell memberships. You also need a site manager and potentially a maintenance technician. For an express model with heavy sales staffing and prep attendants, labor can run 15 to 20% or more of revenue. On a hypothetical $2 million in annual revenue, a 20% labor cost equals $400,000 a year. Next is utilities. A car wash is a utility-intensive business. Water and sewer are the obvious expenses, but then there's electricity. The powerful motors for the conveyor, the pumps, and especially the massive blowers used to dry the cars, consume a tremendous amount of power. Combined, utilities can account for 7% to 11% of revenue. On a $2 million business, an 8% utility cost equals $160,000 per year. Then you have chemicals, soaps, waxes, drying agents, and specialty coatings. These costs scale directly with volume and can represent another 5 to 8% of revenue. Let's budget 6%, or $120,000 per year. One of the most critical and often underestimated expenses is maintenance and repairs. The equipment is in a constant state of war with water, chemicals, and mechanical stress. Things break. A proactive maintenance budget is not optional. It's essential for preventing costly downtime. A breakdown on a busy Saturday can cost thousands in lost revenue. A prudent owner will budget between 5% and 8% of revenue for ongoing maintenance. Using a 6% figure, that's another $120,000 a year. The list goes on. Credit card processing fees can take 2% to 3% of revenue. Insurance and property taxes could add another 4% to 7% combined. Marketing to attract new customers might run 3 to 5%. Let's bundle these other operating costs into a conservative bucket of 10% of revenue, adding another $200,000. Let's tally the damage. On $2 million of revenue, we have $400,000 for labor, $160,000 for utilities, $120,000 for chemicals, $120,000 for maintenance, and $200,000 for other costs. That's $1 million in annual operating expenses. This leaves us with $1 million in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, EBITDA. A 50% EBITDA margin is a strong target. But we're still not at the owner's take-home pay. We still have to pay for the machine itself. We have built our hypothetical $5.5 million car wash. We have generated $2 million in revenue and paid $1 million in operating expenses, leaving $1 million in EBITDA. The next and most significant component of the financial analysis is the cost of capital. The first major deduction is debt service. Assume that the owner took out a $5 million loan. For this illustrative model, assume that the financing takes the form of a commercial loan at a 7% interest rate with a 20-year amortization. Real-world loan terms can vary widely, but this is a plausible structure. A loan of this size and terms translates into an annual debt service payment of approximately $465,000. This is a fixed cost that must be paid every single year for 2 decades. This represents a substantial recurring cash flow obligation. So, we take our $1 million in EBITDA and subtract the $465,000 in debt service. This leaves us with $535,000 in pre-tax cash flow. Now, we have to account for taxes. For tax purposes, depreciation allowances may be applied to the building and equipment, which creates a large non-cash expense that can shield a portion of your income. This is a complex calculation. However, for purposes of this simplified model, assume that after all deductions, we have an effective cash tax liability of $100,000. This reduces pre-tax cash flow from $535,000 to $435,000. This represents the owner's free cash flow before major reinvestment. Assuming a 10% cash down payment of $500,000 on the $5.5 million project and financing the remaining $5 million, an annual cash return of $435,000 on the initial $500,000 of equity is an incredible yield. This is why private equity is so attracted to the model. When these assumptions hold, the resulting return can be exceptionally high. However, this is a mature, high-volume, best-case scenario. What if it takes 3 years to build that 3,000-member base? What if revenue is only $1.2 million instead of $2 million? Let's rerun the numbers. $1.2 million in revenue. Operating expenses, many of which are semi-fixed, might be $750,000. That leaves an EBITDA of $450,000. The debt payment is still the same, $465,000. Under these conditions, operating cash flow does not cover the annual debt service obligation. The business therefore experiences negative cash flow and may require additional owner capital to meet its financial obligations. This is the financial nightmare. Thus, profitability is highly sensitive to operating volume, creating a narrow margin between a financially successful operation and an unprofitable one. The path to a profitable car wash is filled with risks that can derail the entire project. The most significant is competition. Because the express tunnel model has been so profitable, it has led to a massive building boom. A new, state-of-the-art wash opening a mile down the road can instantly cut into your volume and force a price war on memberships, eroding the profitability of the entire market. There's also execution risk. Running a car wash is not a passive activity. It requires a constant focus on operations. You need a team that can sell memberships. You need to maintain equipment meticulously to ensure a consistent, high-quality wash. A dirty facility or poor customer service will quickly send members to your competitors. And even with perfect execution, you are vulnerable to macroeconomic factors. An economic downturn can cause consumers to cut back on discretionary spending. While the membership model provides a buffer, a prolonged recession can lead to higher member churn and fewer sign-ups. A stark example of these risks is the case of Zips Car Wash, one of the largest operators in the country. Despite having a large membership base, the company found itself over-leveraged. Facing pressure from rising interest rates and fierce competition, the company found itself for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in early 2025 to restructure its debt. Zips successfully emerged from the process, but its journey serves as a powerful cautionary tale about how even major players can falter when debt and competition create a perfect storm. So, is a car wash a license to print money? The answer is a qualified yes. A well-located, well-run express tunnel with a strong membership base can be an incredibly profitable business. But it is anything but a passive investment. The dream of an automated box that runs itself is a dangerous illusion. The reality is a capital-intensive, operationally demanding, and highly competitive business that requires millions in upfront investment and a relentless focus on sales and cost management. The staggering initial investment creates immense financial pressure from day one. The secret to success in this industry isn't just about soap and water. It's about real estate, finance, marketing, and operations. The modern car wash is not in the business of washing cars. It is in the business of acquiring and retaining members. For those with deep pockets and strong business acumen, the economics can be phenomenal. But for anyone who thinks it's an easy path to passive income, the numbers tell a very different and much more challenging story. The machine looks like it prints money, but it rests on a fragile assumption that you can convince thousands of people to subscribe, and that a shinier, newer machine won't appear down the street and do it better.